Good morning, everybody. This is Damon Bond, of Bond Realty Group, licensed real estate broker in the states of Connecticut and New York. Hope everybody is doing well. Today is September 12th, 2018. It is Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing well today. If you have any questions, you can always email me at dbond011@gmail.com. That is dbond011@gmail.com. You can always give me a call, 203-394-8123, 203-394-8123. Welcome to Real Talk. Hope everybody's doing good. This is what you're more used to seeing. Yesterday was my Home Depot, roll up the sleeves, getting kind of dirty work today. I'm back in, my regular grind. So, so this is what you're more used to seeing me. Welcome to Real Talk, where we talk about real estate issues that may or may not affect you, but you probably know someone, chances are, where they can use some information. So before I get into today's topic, I just want to address a question that was brought to my attention. And the question is, can you wholesale REO properties? And I will say no. I'm sure there's a roundabout way of doing that, but to make your life simple, no. And the reason why I say no, you can't wholesale REO properties is because the bank is going to be on top of you with paperwork and everything like that. And on top of that, usually with many bank-owned properties, your agent has to submit a offer to the website. You can't do it as your own. So no, I would not try to wholesale REO properties, because remember, these banks have a legal department that have resources to fight you. So no, I would leave that alone. If you want to wholesale real estate, I'd recommend that you use realtytrack.com. I gave that site yesterday's video talk, realtytrack.com, and I would use that if you want to wholesale properties, because there they have pre-foreclosures. So they give you the property address and everything like that. And hey, you go over there, knock on the door if you want. I'm not recommending it, just if you want, and you could ask, engage, and how will you do. So I would strongly recommend using RealtyTrack for wholesaling property, or just going around the neighborhood, and looking, at different houses, somebody you may know maybe falling behind their mortgage. That's the approach I certainly would take, but I would not mess with REO properties. And in terms of that, there's too many unknown variables. There's already enough unknown variables. And wholesaling regular properties, wholesaling bank-owned properties, no, you don't want to get involved in that at all. I would stay away from that with a 12-foot pole. Just answer that question. Hope this answers that question with that. So today I wanted to discuss flood insurance, okay, or buying a property in a flood zone, if you will, more appropriately. And this came to mind because we know that the southern United States, South Carolina, North Carolina, and a small part of Georgia are going to be battered by the impending storm that's coming up. And up here in the New York, Connecticut area, the tri-state area, we may get some remnants of that. Certainly not as bad as it was down there, but we may get some remnants of that. So right now, if you're searching for a home, I just want to go over a few things about flood zones, if you will. All right, what is a flood zone? All right, now, first of all, just because a property is in a flood zone doesn't necessarily mean that it will get flooded. All right, I'll say that again. Just because a property has been designated as a flood zone does not mean it will necessarily get flooded. All right, that's the first thing I want to distinguish that. So, for example, if you live by the beach, right, whether it's Rockaway Beach out in Queens, Coney Island, Sheepheads Bay in Brooklyn, over here the beach, Rye, okay, Orchard Beach, any of those beaches, all along Long Island Sound, any of those beaches, right? If your house is obviously on the beach, then yeah, obviously, suffice to say, you're gonna have a good chance of getting flooded. All right, no doubt about that. But even if your house is, let's say, not driving distance to the beach, you still could be designated a flood zone. All right, not necessarily because of an ocean or sound, but because if you're near a river, all right, some type of lake, all right, that has a tendency to get flooded, it could be there. Now, just because your house is designated and your property is designated a flood zone doesn't necessarily mean that property will flood. There are plenty of properties, all right, that are designated as flood zone areas, but they're not in that particular area. They won't get flooded, in other words, right? If you look at the writings, right, this was one property I was helping these home buyers with, and it said that, yeah, in a 99-year history of the property, there's never been a flood as of yet, but there's a 1% probability that this property will be flooded, all right? Now, that's what it is. So there's that extra precaution. Now, just because Now, let me just also, because sorry, I get so excited with this topic, but flooding does not mean when it rains you get flood. You just when you get rains, you have a little water coming in. That means you have a damn basement, right? Flooding means that there's some thing, your house is gonna be floating away or stuff like that. But that's what it can entail. So what does this mean in terms? I'm not dealing with homeowners currently, right? You are what you are, but I'm dealing with home buyers. Home buyers. You don't necessarily be scared if the property is designated a flood zone area. All right, don't be scared. All right, you could be in a flood zone area and property has never been flooded. It just means that there is a higher chance that your property will indeed become flooded, but necessarily mean it'll happen. Kind of like if there's diabetes or hypertension running in your family, don't mean you'll get it necessarily. It just means you have a higher probability of getting it. If you don't, take corrective measures in your diet and your lifestyle or whatnot. Now, if you up there, eating all kinds of stuff there, all right, then yeah, you're going to be like your, good relatives and have the same thing they have. So that's what we're dealing with. It just means that you have a higher chance. Doesn't necessarily mean you'll get it. Now, if you're going to buy a house, if you're interested in the property and there's a flood zone, here's some things you have to be aware of. Number one, you will need flood insurance. All right, that's mandatory. So a lot of people don't understand this, right? But regular insurance does not cover flood insurance. No, it doesn't. Why is it that way? I don't know. Ask the insurance companies. So when you get a house, if you're financing property through a mortgage, you're gonna have to get your regular insurance, regular homeowners insurance, and then you're going to need a special type insurance called flood insurance, right? Now, if your property is in a FEMA flood zone, which is very different, a FEMA flood zone is separate from a regular thing. It just means that the federal government has designated that as a flood zone area. And they did this in the wakes of several things, Hurricane Katrina back in New Orleans, back in in the early 2000s, and Hurricane Sandy, which affected this area of the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area. So regardless, if you need insurance, right, just be aware of that. So sometimes the insurance company you will deal with, all right, if it's some of the major ones, will say, yeah, we have insurance, but yeah, you need to take out flood insurance. Now that can affect your overall monthly payment, all right, because of the extra flood insurance that you have. So just be aware of that. Now, in some cases, and I actually did this before I was working with a couple, and they bought a house in a designated flood area. They were actually able to get a cheaper rate by the homeowners transferring the flood insurance over to the new homeowners, okay, the prospective buyers. They were able to do that. It was really cheap. It was less than $500 a year. So this, I guess the guy was in the military or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, there's some things to work out. So you just have to shop around for what the best rate is for you. Now, I knew people who decided to get rid of their homeowners, rid of their flood insurance. Always keep your homeowners insurance. You never know. The premiums are worth paying, right? But in terms of your flood insurance, because they say, listen, I'm not worried about the house flooding or whatnot. You can do that. I'm not saying if you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying that's an option to you. But you had individuals who say, I'm going to buy, I'm going to get rid of this. The house is paid off or whatnot. You can do that, right? And the house never flooded. That's in your right. You actually cancel both flood insurance and your regular homeowners insurance. I wouldn't recommend canceling your homeowners insurance. The other one, the flood insurance, that's if you decide to do, that's all on you. I'm not going to tell you yes or I'm not going to tell you no. All right, you have to use your own discretion. All right, but yeah, don't be frightened away. Some people, want to live by the beach. They want to live on the lake. They want to live on the river, and that's fine. Just be aware that there's a higher risk of doing that. So these are some things to keep in mind. So I just thought it was imperative to discuss with you because there are a lot of great properties in designated flood areas, FEMA flood areas, regular flood areas, and they're far away from any water, but they might get flooded. So just keep that in mind. Also, usually your mortgage person, when you dealing with it, they'll tell you, say, hey, this is a flood zone. All right. You can actually go on websites and check yourself. You just type in the address or the zip code, and it'll let you know if you are indeed a flood zone, flood area. That'd be prone to flooding. Now, flood insurance works flood areas works kind of weird because I remember some years ago I was living in a house And I didn't need flood insurance, right? There was a creek that was running in the back of the house. You couldn't see it. It was, a small creek. I didn't need flood insurance. My neighbor to my left side needed flood insurance. So that's kind of weird. So don't assume just because that one house don't need it, then the other house will need it. I've been in places, I've seen houses before, just being a realtor, where no flood insurance was required. And they were like up on the beach. I don't know if they had sandbags or rocks or whatever it is, but they didn't need flood insurance. So flood insurance is those kind of, weird things. Certainly you're a mortgage person, if you're getting a mortgage, will tell you if you need flood insurance. Now, if you happen to be buying a house cash and you just want to know, just for the sake of knowing, is this a flood area, you can ask your realtor, all right? And, or you can check it out yourself. Is this a flood zone? You can ask, you can inquire, is flood insurance required? So these are some ways in which you're able to decipher that information. So for the people in South Carolina, in the Carolinas, and Georgia, just be safe and be careful as best you can. Hope this was useful. If you have any questions, you always email me at dbond011@gmail.com. That is dbond011@gmail.com. You can always give me a call, 203-394-8123, 203-394-8123. I will respond to you. Sometimes it takes a little time, but I will respond to you. And yes, thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. This is Damon Bond, licensed real estate broker in the states of Connecticut and New York. Be well, stay safe, and more importantly, stay dry. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Good day.